Sup, it's a true floater, and we're going to be talking about a certain character, a certain adaptation of Spider-Man that I think a lot of us love and been waiting for. And that's going to be Tobey Maguire's take on Spider-Man, and just the whole history of getting a definitive figure of this guy, and how it's kind of just been a very hard 20 years of waiting for that perfect figure. And when I mean it's been very hard, like the best version of Tobey Maguire as Spider-Man has been, for the most part, the Toy Biz Spider-Man. Any of those old Toy Biz Spider-Man figures that came out like 20 years ago. And the more recently, I guess the most recent one was like 15 years ago. And you know that's pretty bad when the best one is a 15-year-old figure. And I'm not saying it's terrible, it's not. There's a reason why. There's many good things about it, but the body proportions of it, really just the proportions of the figure, and how it's generally just kind of hard to find nowadays is not the greatest. It's not the greatest. The second best option, besides one of the Toy Biz ones, is the Revoltech one, and man, it's ugly. I'm going to be putting up pictures so you'll see it's not a good looking figure. I don't know how, but I somehow dislike it more than the Toy Biz one. The body proportions on it feel just even worse. It don't even resemble the movies at all in any way. Like in any way. But after a long time, you know, multiple companies getting better, Mayfix, SH Figuarts, Marvel Legends, multiple companies going back and recreating, you know, figures of older characters. Even Marvel Legends made some figures of some old X-Men characters from the Fox movies. But I'm surprised they never went back and did their own take on, you know, Tobey Maguire's Spider-Man. Same thing applies for Mayfix. They've done older characters too, or NECA. No, I'm not really surprised by NECA. That makes sense. And SH Figuarts, to be honest, they've gone back and done weird characters, weird old kids. They did the 1980s Japanese Spider-Man, or Spider-Man. I don't know if I said that right, but after such a long time, we finally got it. We got our SH Figuarts. Our definitive take on Tobey Maguire, and I would say this is the best figure to date. Here it is, the figure we've been waiting for almost 15 years now. The ideal, definitive Tobey Maguire Spider-Man from the Sam Raimi films. And man, there's a lot of good things about this guy, but there's also, I'm gonna be honest, there's also, you know, a couple negatives about this guy as well that I feel like some people don't want to point out. That being said, even with the negatives, it's still much better than the Toy Biz one, the Revoltech one. It's still the best option you can get your hands on until Mayfix makes one, and even then, you never know. Mayfix is usually a bit pricier, only a bit, I would say, because SH Figuarts is not that far off different in price either, especially when it comes to their more Marvel and DC and superhero related figures. But there's a lot of good things. The articulation is what you should expect from SH Figuarts, especially when they make certain sacrifices when it comes to the aesthetic in order to make the articulation even better, which in this case I don't know if I mind or not, but it is definitely fun to pose around compared to other Spider-Mans I have in my collection. Like, if you get closer, the detail on this guy is honestly amazing. They did everything about right for how the suits look like in the movies. The webbing looks good. It's silver. It's great. The face mask, the sculpt is great. And when I mean the sculpt, the detail they put into the suit and how they actually got the actual texture. Yeah, if you can see the little hexagrams in the suit. And they got it all across the whole figure. The whole figure. And even the eyes are kind of very shiny. I feel like they reflect light off the eyes. So they even got them to look like real lenses for the most part. The kind of the same effect with the spider on his chest as well. Not quite the back. The back's a bit more matted, which I feel like is fine. but it has that same shiny effect on the spider, just as well as in the eyes. And I already told you about the articulation. And there's only one negative I have on this figure, and that's probably how the body looks. The cuts they put into the figure for the articulation looks kind of awkward. I don't know if it's just me, but it just looks kind of awkward to me. Like the Marvel Legends one doesn't look nearly as awkward when it comes to, because of how they cut the thighs instead of making it naturally the full leg. The under thigh is a little bigger than the top thigh, and you know, you have multiple proportions, a little, like the chest region is a little small instead of just being roughly around the same size, just like he's wearing a diaper for the most part of some sort. Yeah, it just looks a little awkward, and I get it. The original suit from the films was a very awkward looking figure as well, so it's just a hard suit to adapt. That's probably why the Rebel Tech was so off. The Tobey's one was just, it was going to be off regardless, because it was basically just, it felt like a comic Spider-Man, but with a slightly different aesthetic. But honestly, even with those negatives, it's still the best Sam Raimi Spider-Man you can get. And even when the Mayfix one comes out, I have a guess, considering they probably want to make as much money as possible. The price range on that guy will probably be about, I say, $10 to $20 more expensive than this guy right here. I bought him on Big Bad Toy Store, and he was actually better than I thought. $94 with taxes and shipping. He was roughly $204 at full. And I imagine, you know, Mayfix one, when they put theirs out, which I feel like is going to be a little better, it's going to be maybe $105 maybe, like the other Spider-Man figures come out, maybe $110. But again, the biggest problem is that I buy stuff from Big Bad Toy Store instead of buying it from the actual website or other Japanese based websites that usually is about $20 cheaper. So really, you could get this guy for probably $72 off some websites like Hobby Japan or Ami, or even from SH Figuarts, Tamashii Nation's website themselves. That's just my tip. But overall, if I had to rate this figure, again, it looks a little awkward, but once you start posing around and get out of that vanilla looking pose, it's a amazing figure to play around with. I may have to give it a 8.5 out of 10. I feel like that's fair. 8.5 out of 10, but yeah.